All right, welcome everyone. I'm so happy you're here. I'll do a brief overview of everything we've revealed over the past months in between the previous EMA and this one. But after that, we're quickly gonna transition into any questions you guys have. And I would be super happy if you're brave enough to join and speak with us and formulate your questions through voice. But if that doesn't work for you for any reasons, we're also going to be going over the chat questions in AMA questions, the text channel on Discord. And there's been quite some questions there already, so I think it's going to be easy to fill in the full hour. In terms of the last reveals, one very cool one was the revealing one of 8 leaders in ZEPHON, which was the Furtive Tribunal, a mystical 3 sisters. The other one was revealing NPC leaders, which I'm super excited about. They're gonna enhance the gameplay in a very cool way, I think. We revealed ZEPHON, the main character of the game, and there will be 2 others that will be placed on the map that you will interact with. They'll have their own units. It's like a neutral faction expanding on it from Gladius. This month we were also revealing some cool modding features, like being able to mod the AI. I'm really excited by what you guys will be able to accomplish with that, since it wasn't possible to that degree in Gladius. You'll be able to change when and how the AI players use abilities, skills, produce units, focus on different tech options, and so on. So I think that's really cool stuff. I'm excited to show all of that up later. So yeah, maybe we could just start with some questions. Maybe Dan, you could be the speaker, or like you could pose the questions perhaps, and we can
I'll be the speaker of the voice, yeah.
You can be the speaker of the voice.
So have we got any hands up, or should I go and do those straight away? No hands, right? I'll go find an hammer then.
Yeah, just find a question in chat then. It's totally
okay,
fine.
So we're just going for ZEPHON questions first, are we? Are we allowing Gladius ones as well?
I think you can go from the top to make it easy. Cool.
So the first question by XLoyal95XL is, what are the next DLCs in the works?
I assume that's for Gladius, and as we've mentioned before, it's going to be unit pack and a new faction. We can't reveal a lot more than that at this point, but I expect a scope similar to previous DLCs.
Yeah, okay. So that was... And any ZEPHON DLC you want to talk about, Rob?
No.
Sorry. Okay.
There is one thing I've just a small thing to mention perhaps with ZEPHON development as it goes on. One small thing in the Gladius interface in the research tree is that it was very broad or general, the description of the actual technologies. So it perhaps just said like grants guardsmen the ability to throw frag grenades or something like that, and we've enhanced all that so that it shows all the details of the weapon, the cooldowns, which units get it, like if it's an enhancement on your farms or whatnot, that it gives more food, it'll say how much more food, it'll show the unit stats as well. So every tech unlock will be more specific and more helpful before you research it, which was definitely a complaint that we've heard in Gladius. So I think that's a nice little enhancement.
Yeah, and also, I mean, as you mentioned, for ZEPHON is like really important due to the different resources and whatnot. You just want to know what the units cost and what branch they belong to. Make sure there are no disappointments after you researched it and don't have the resources for it to actually build it.
Exactly, because our economy is more expensive. Just a reminder again, for anyone that would like to talk with us, at the bottom of your screen, there's a raise hand button. Feel free to raise your hand and we'll bring you up and you can chat with us, ask any questions. Otherwise, we might not get to yours. So, Dan, you have...
Okie dokie. Zerethal Boletarias, who apparently is a Adeptus Mechanicus Chaos and Astra Militarum player, so he's a Dark Mechanicum, asks, in regards to updates for Gladius, will you continue to support it with minor updates such as balancing and bug fixing following the final DLC, if there is one? So I think he's asking, it's assuming that at some point we will stop doing DLC for the game, which is a big assumption.
Yeah. I think it goes together in a way, the DLCs and the supporting the game otherwise, because both are tied to the player base and how interested people are in playing it. So I imagine that after we start making DLCs for it, we will slowly stop supporting it with patches as well, unless maybe Lawrence has a different opinion here. But I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, yeah, like slowly, eventually. I mean, we just have to make sure that it's like at the end it stays in a like somewhat good state, and we don't like experiment too much. Like I know with Pandora, we kind of, we just moved on to the new game and like didn't maintain the old one and didn't leave it in the best of states. And now it's like at a point where it's like kind of hard to recompile it and use all the libraries, and you can't like really change it and fix it anymore. And we definitely don't want to do this mistake again. Also, Gladius is like way too popular for that, to make sure it's a good state.
Yeah,
but we did also discuss like how we we want to move forward with Gladius because it was a really successful game for us, and it like still does well. Like 4 years in, that's really crazy. Like no one of us would have expected it.
Yep. I believe we have someone requesting speak, so I'll invite you for Parallel Universes. Or I think Dan already has. Try hard. So I think he's
a Necron, by the way.
He's a Necron. Oh, we like Necrons.
No one likes Necrons. Not even the Necrons.
Lawrence likes Necrons.
Yes.
Hello for Parallel Universes. We can't hear you right now.
Sorry, I forgot push to speak was on.
No worries.
I just have two questions. The first would be in regards to the cosmetic thing I asked about, like making a guardsman look like a Krieg or making the Eldari look different or something like that, like more than just the color.
It's a very interesting question, and it's something I've been looking at. I know that I saw recently Anno 1800. Ubisoft was boasting how well their cosmetic only DLC did. I personally, and I think Lawrence agrees here, would still prefer to have gameplay effects, even if it's to a larger degree cosmetic only. But it's definitely something we're exploring. And yeah, it's a question with chapters as well, like Space Marine chapters, right? It's a similar question. There are some mechanical differences you can do, but a lot of it might just be visual differences. So I think that's in the cards, but it's not planned right now. But thank you so much for the question, because that lets us gauge how much people would like that.
My second one is in regard to like Titans for the not Necrons, Tyranids, and the Tau and all of them. Like, will there ever be Titans for them?
I think we've discussed this before, but Titans are a little big for our scale, so we don't plan to do it right now. But if we added some sort of mechanics to it that would be interesting and special, we would consider them.
Well, yeah, we do have 500, 600 points units, right? Like, so I think that is pretty close to Titans. And yes, there's more of those coming.
Yeah, it's more about the scale, really, isn't it? That we would want to have them be represented, how large they are, and even a Baneblade, as close as it is in points value to a Titan, in terms of actual the kind of real estate it takes up on the map, the Titans would hopefully take up more than that. So having multi-square units causes all sorts of problems. So there's design issues there, basically.
Yeah, maybe I'm just thinking out loud right now, but maybe there's some simple way to implement it, as if that they just block surrounding tiles automatically and they can't move there unless those tiles are available. Maybe something like that is possible, but yeah, we know people love huge units, part of Warhammer, so we'll keep thinking about it.
Alright, and are you guys planning on adding more and more factions from here, like the Sisters of Battle, the Harlequins, the Dark Eldar?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. As many as we can.
Alright. Well, I'll let you guys go on to Suitcaser. They have their hand raised. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much, Parallel Universes.
Yeah.
Au revoir.
That's her.
Suitcaser, whenever you're ready. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey.
I'm doing fine, thank you, guys. It's a great honor to speak on you, and I'm very glad to hear you. It's honestly amazing how much dialogue you have for such small companies. So.
Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate that.
Big thanks to Rock, who is like putting in the effort.
Yeah, Rock rocks.
Just slave away.
My question is, do you have any plans for content updates besides unit packs and factions? Like mod update you did in the past or something like that?
There's nothing big in the works right now. We spent some considerable time doing the update that's in beta right now, and we're talking with Slytherin about potentially. Well, I can't say much, but we did talk with them in that direction. But there's nothing that we agreed with. So I couldn't reveal anything, even if I was allowed to. But our primary focus is on content, mostly because that's what people seem to want the most. The rest is a bit hard to determine what's worth our time and what's the best allocation of resources.
Yeah, it's currently getting discussed, but it's and it's all open still. Basically, the future of Gladius further down the line, but nothing settled yet. It's a really hard call what to do.
Yeah, we're a tiny group of people. Only two of us are full time, so it's hard focusing that and making more than one game at a time as well. It's difficult enough for us.
It's also very challenging from the aspect that Gladius has been out for 4.5 years or something, and it's the engine. Even though we try to keep updating as much as possible with all the content that's already in the game, it's hard to make big improvements whilst at the same time keeping all the previous content intact. So like things that we did for ZEPHON, like the third rendering and all the sexy stuff, is really hard to backport. So yeah, but we'll do as much as we can, I think, because we love the game as well.
I see. If I'm allowed, may I ask another question?
Sure, of course.
I've joined as a Gladius player, so I knew nothing about Pandora and Conquest and not played it. But I'm interested how you guys came to be as a company, as a team, as a indie dev.
Well, it all started from gaming, really. So we're all gamers at heart, and without going into a long story, like I think we did last time, you can listen to the previous.
Really long.
Yeah, you could listen to the previous AMA where someone asked us, I believe, how we got started. A very similar question, but the short story is slowly and through time and through playing games, and I think that's part of my love for the community here and trying to get all the players together. It's really important to me, and it's how I met Void, and later we got in touch with Sohail and Dan. So but playing games and studying computer science is the short answer. We played Guild Wars a ton. Yeah, so unless you have another question.
No, that's all. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, Dan. Leaving.
How do I leave, though?
I'm
I
trying to
think
work that out myself.
that's a great. There we go.
Next AMA question is: do you have this is Black Cop Stripper? I don't know if he's a stripper or whether he trips cops up. I can't quite tell. I don't know what fractions he plays as, but he wants to know: do you have any details on ZEPHON you can share related to diplomacy and warfare?
I think the majority of that we're gonna leave for future AMAs. So unless Lawrence wants to point out anything in particular, the grand focus of diplomacy, which we haven't done before, we did it in Pandora, but we haven't done it in Gladius, and the main focus is going to be roleplay. So we're investing a lot of resources into visually and audio-wise making that really stand out.
We talked about the tag system much, Rock. I can't remember.
Not a lot, no.
Because obviously that is intended to have some impact on diplomacy.
Yeah, I think we also discussed diplomacy also in a previous Armor. I don't know how much we want to repeat about that, but yes, with the role play and the interaction between the factions, and that it's still dangerous, and tying it in with events. There will be lots of events that your choices influence other leaders' behavior towards you, that kind of thing.
And text can also potentially influence that, and quest responses, and so on and so on. Oh, I see the Scry has joined us. Finally, we can speak to him again. I've invited you, the Scry, so whenever you're happy or ready, you can join us. There's one question I see that I think is pretty interesting. It's something that we've been working on recently, which Black Ops Trippa also asked, is ZEPHON going to have more diverse map generation? And we've been working on making, Sohail has been putting a lot of effort into making the climates of ZEPHON, or the ecoregions, the terrain, diverse and interesting, and a huge step up from Gladius. So not sure if you want to add anything to that, but...
Well, just don't look too much at the screenshots on Steam. It will look very different from that.
Yeah.
Just before the Armor started, I was talking with Sohail, we were working on a new climate and the blending, and it's so hard because for ZEPHON you want to get a look that is different, right, from Earth and just post-apocalyptic, but still familiar, and like also the fantasy and sci-fi elements. So yeah, but that is challenging, but we are trying very hard and spending a lot of time and resources on it, and I think the result will be very cool. And yeah, I guess there will also be some new shots, but I don't want to promise a date because we're kind of bad with holding or sticking to these dates then when we promise something. So
yeah. Even already what's in there, I'm super excited by already how our day-night cycle reflects on the terrain and how things glow and stand out depending on the day or the night. And also what I'm excited about playing with is the bigger patches of climates or the ecoregions. So it feels more that you're discovering different parts of the world. It's not as small patches as in Gladius. And I think it's a small tweak, but I think it'll reflect in a very cool way, especially for first-time players, or as you discover the game and you go from one region to another, it'll feel like real cool actual regions.
yes, for those worried about balance already, you can increase the region density, of course, very much again. So if like you want to make sure that there's enough climate types available, but we are trying to make sure that every climate type like provides a very valuable start. I mean, it governs your tech choices maybe to an extent, of course, but
yeah, and again, it'll all be moddable as well. We'll be revealing a lot more about that when we're finished with it. We'll reveal the effects, the visuals, and everything. So, hello, Descry. Sorry to keep you waiting. How are you doing, man?
Hi, guys. Hi, Proxy
Hello.
team. Yeah, first off, I think a lot of people share the same thing. They appreciate you guys, even though, the community is not like huge, but you guys do put a lot of care and love into your games, and you want to hear from us. So I think you guys already know, like, we appreciate that. I have a couple questions. I don't know if you answered mine. I wrote it on the AMA questions. I
We've
wrote
not yet,
down.
no.
Okay. So yeah, will sim terms be implemented? The ability to toggle it on or off to save time in multiplayer. Some games like Age of Wonders, Planetfall has that. SimCity. So some of those RTS games have that. Will this be put in maybe in ZEPHON or maybe into Gladius in the future?
Listen, Descry, I'll do it just for you, okay? It'll be in ZEPHON.
Well, that'd be great. And then I'm curious, like, will you be doing a closed beta or open demo of ZEPHON coming in the future, or is this gonna like hit us like kind of like a launch day and then everyone plays it?
No, we'll be doing like alphas and betas and so on. We just have to get to a small version of the game that we want feedback on, and we're still not quite there. But if you sign up on the newsletter and if you're active on Discord, as I know you are, we're gonna be reaching out to you when the
I'm
time
your
comes.
biggest fan. I got one more question, and this is more like because you're getting away from the Warhammer trademark. Sorry, I'm putting my kid down as I speak. Are you like? Does that give you a lot more creativity to do exactly what your vision is? Like with ZEPHON, this is your own IP. Do you feel like that's gonna really allow you to dial into exactly how you want this turn-based game to play? Like you'll be more creative, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. Just already the little things of how the units interact between each other. Warhammer is freaking amazing, but still taking stuff from the tabletop gives you some restrictions, and I think we've learned through that a lot as well. And I think Sohail's super excited about design or like the visuals the visual differences between the units as well, and the branches, that we can do the kind of game that we couldn't directly do with the Warhammer license, for sure.
Okay, well, thanks for answering my questions. And I do look forward to Gladius 2 also, because, you know, that meme that is so popular within the community, we're definitely looking for Gladius 2 to come down our way too.
I thought we were looking for Gladius 3.
I don't know, Gladius 3, but so I will listen to you guys, and I'm super excited for ZEPHON, so it looks really interesting.
Thanks so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Okay. Dan, whenever you find something you like.
Pengo Paddy asks, will there be a total war option with no diplomacy, I like Gladius, or do we have to use diplomacy? I think some people really like not having diplomacy, so for ZEPHON they're asking.
Yeah, like I don't think there would be any problem like with doing that. I mean, we're gonna make the whole quest/event chain toggleable, like for those who want to just like have more competitive multiplayer in that sense. And I mean, like if you have fixed teams and whatnot, you can just play without diplomacy. Yeah, just want to make sure we have it this time. So if single player guys are hot for role play and diplomacy, they can do it or get it.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the biggest surprises for me in Gladius was the popularity of the co-op mode, and we definitely want to keep that because it's an amazing way to play the game, and you will be able to play ZEPHON in a similar way and use diplomacy and toggle it to the degree you like.
Yeah, I always love playing co-op versus AI with friends rather than, kind of Back to Blood and stuff like that. So I prefer those kinds of games to the shooting somebody in the head from 400 meters away. Cool. Next question, also from Pengo Paddy, is how much terrain terraforming will be in ZEPHON? Will it be like Alpha Centauri or more simplistic like Gladius?
I think that is not decided yet, to be honest. Like, because we can easily think of things that allow it, and like it would also not be too hard for the engine, I think. But to which extent?
Probably more than in Gladius, just in terms of we haven't gotten to it yet or play tested or anything like that, but I still imagine having roads or movement increasing improvements. So that is more than Gladius. Alpha Centauri also had like raising and lowering the ground level, which is something, as Soren said, that our engine also would support in theory. If we want to do it, I don't know.
Land forest, yeah, it's not a
we
big
could
deal.
Yeah.
It just has to be valuable gameplay wise, that you actually want to spend your time on.
Exactly.
Doing that.
If we add such a thing, we want it to have meaning.
Yeah, I would be worried if you like kind of making a water pass, so the AI can't reach you anymore. That sounds like dangerous.
Yeah, perhaps changing climates would disrupt that less. But then you have to make sure that the visual particle effects, the rain, etc., is all consistent. So I think we'll see. To a degree, that will be pretty easy to mod, I think. So if we decide that it's not a core thing, it shouldn't be too hard to add in some form. Hello, the German number. Welcome again. How are you doing?
Yeah, hello.
Your mic is muted. Maybe he stepped away. Oh, hello. Can't hear you.
I'll go and find another question while we're waiting for him to get his mic working.
Okay.
Are there any plans for more neutrals to appear in Gladius, whether in a style like Lord of the Skulls or at World Spawn?
Not currently, but I imagine we're gonna add more. Yeah. The next DLC will not include new ones.
But every faction, otherwise we're getting on it.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like them as they can increase the randomness of the world, and some of them, like Lord of Skulls or like the Umbra, distort the world a lot more than others. And obviously the way that some of them are integrated into the factions, like the Guardsmen or the
Tau, the Crude Hounds,
the Recruit Hounds, yeah, exactly. Recruitable ones like the giant robots. I forgot their name, the Castellan.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best case when you can interact with the neutrals in there, and we're also gonna have a lot more of that in ZEPHON as well. For Gladius, I'm not sure. If I add a neutral, I would like it to really have a purpose and feel a niche we haven't yet, and we've kind of filled like a lot of them. There's probably some cool entity from the universe that we could add for sure.
Yeah,
maybe
writers. Writers, what you would like to see.
Yeah. I've got a whole list of aliens from the universe that we'd like getting the Herod in there, or a few of the kind of Tau allied races like the Demiurge. It would be lovely to get those things in there.
Yeah,
but we may have to save that for Gladius too.
Well, I would love to hear. Actually, I'm not sure what the players think here. In what kind of neutrals they'd like to see, and what tier of neutrals. Like, is it an early game, exactly, or is it a late strong game? Because I actually don't have a feeling there, and I'm pretty happy with our current balance. But I'm not sure if there's variety needed early game, close to the player, or far from the player and strong. So if anyone has an opinion.
Swarm have laser cats? I don't think so, right?
So the German's mic is not working, unfortunately. But he did have a question about Gladius strategic outposts, strategic objectives like outposts that need to be held to initiate a tactical win. He's wondering whether they're going to add anything else more like that, similar to Dawn of War. So, things, alternative victory conditions, essentially, I think.
Mm-hmm. For now, there's no plans on that, but probably would have to be some kind of sequel or a bigger new version or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dan. More ZEPHON questions.
More, I'll go a bit faster. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's have a look. Where are we? Will the leaders in ZEPHON be playable like heroes in Gladius, or will they just stay safe and warm in their cities?
That's a great question. It's something I have been thinking about also in terms of warlords with Gladius, but for now the plan is to have them safe in cities, because you're gonna be interacting with them through diplomacy, and there's a nice abstraction there, I think.
Yeah, we will have heroes, of course, but like the leaders won't be them. Like, they will be like actual leaders who gain the traits and whatnot and do the diplomacy and talking.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to have we're talking about the way we're making the leaders and making factions asymmetric. They change up how your faction plays. Having a leader that's on the map like Supreme Commander or Total Annihilation.
Oh my God! Let's make one of the factions be a leader on the map. How cool would that be as a symmetry?
That needs thought. Otherwise, you're just gonna hide.
Hey! Don't ruin my. But that would be super cool, because let me just elaborate. I very much like having basic and simple base mechanics, like kind of every faction starts with a reasonable set of rules that is the same for everyone, and then you do the crazy or different stuff for faction asymmetry, just like one city, different resources, and stuff like that.
Movable
And
city.
movable city. So
We almost got that for the Tyranids. We almost got the movable city for the Tyranids.
yeah, I thought about it for quite a while actually, but I didn't find for Eldar as well, but I didn't find a good implementation for that.
Ah.
Yeah, sorry, but it's I do find like warlord type or leaders on the map being a very cool thing, and I could imagine it's just a design decision. You could easily have them on the map. It's a
As
very
I
cool
said,
question.
Supreme Commander and Total Annihilation both had them, and they were if they get killed, it's game over. But they were kind of like supremely powerful focuses, and it was very nice to have that kind of like a king in chess feeling of this mixture of a king and a queen, a thing that can do lots of stuff and is a really big threat, but also your biggest vulnerabilities. It makes for some really fun asymmetry in the gameplay.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Actually, it also gives you interesting victory, like a spin on the victory thing, where you only have to kill one guy instead of destroying all the cities, because destroying all the cities is sometimes like, oh, I got one of his cities, and like everyone knows that's more or less game over because his economy is so crippled. And just
it lets you do kind of tactical strikes and assassinations and things, which completely changes up 4x's.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I could totally see us making a game where that's a primary focus, but I don't think it'll be for ZEPHON. Also because you have to start thinking about what if a leader is very economy based, like one that we haven't revealed in ZEPHON, but he's very focused on economy, and he's a German, and I won't say much more, but
is it Lawrence?
No. But maybe Lawrence will voice act him. Maybe. But yeah, you'd have to think about what you like, an economic warlord or an economic leader being on the map. Like, what does that mean? Like, what would you do with him? He would have to have some kind of, I guess you would just be running away with him or something, or buffing your cities. Or, like, it needs definitely a lot of careful thought because it's easy to screw it up. But
yeah, I've got 100 examples of other games that have done similar stuff, so don't worry, we can work it out.
Okay, actually, we should talk about that next meeting. At least for, I mean, I know Endless Space, etc. have like a mixture there as well. Some are just like you just put them on cities and so on, or you put them on armies.
Yeah, and Total War does the same thing with kind of the hero units, which are, some of them are die and come back if they're your kind of critical leader units or named leaders, and a lot of the side ones are not immortal until a much higher level. But they do act as, they have the dual battle level powers and faction powers, and some of them are just not very good in battle, but are really good at kind of particular economic stuff in the factions.
Yeah. I think that's super interesting. Something I want to explore more. And I will lobby Lawrence for having a faction that has a warlord or the leader as a model. Maybe it's ZEPHON DLC. There you go. Connecting questions.
Thank you for that. Next question is from Nocturni. Nocturni is asking, for ZEPHON and Gladius, will a replay feature be announced? Hopefully for Gladius as well, but if not, then at least for ZEPHON. And then Nocturni is chaos, so don't trust him.
I'm not exactly sure what a replay feature would entail in your opinion. I interpret it as being able to, I guess like in Civilization, see every turn what happened and maybe analyze it to some degree.
Or maybe he means like StarCraft, where it's like actually you can watch the game how it fully played out, like turn, and go through everything.
And even take control. I mean, in theory, that it's not crazy. We'll just have to store every turn. Actually, you would need to store all the actions as well, right? Oh, okay.
That is pretty hardcore. Like
Yeah.
probably it would be a snapshot. Like otherwise it becomes really complicated if you really want to store during each turn, like at what time in the turn, like in real time, like what unit did what action.
Mm-hmm.
There have been games that screwed it up as well, where they've got non-deterministic actions and the replay deviates from what you actually did. So.
Yeah, that's always fun. I think it's interesting. It depends exactly what you mean, because if you're only imagining, like in Civ, at the end of the game, you get the cool replay or like how the map changed and who was strongest at what point.
That's a lot easier.
That is a lot easier, exactly, because you're just storing a snapshot of every turn. You don't need to store all the actions or the orders. So,
I think Utis, one of the listeners, has said that they're not turn I was about to type clarifying as well, but Utis implied that it might be an end of game review, like in Civ.
That would be that would be much easier. We could
I think
do
so
that.
Too. Let me think, like what would you see, like how new cities go down, like how they acquire new tiles, and I guess like the units where they are.
Yeah, you could have.
Well, probably not what units they are, but you would see snapshots of like your army, like as little dots. That could be pretty cool. And if you fast forward through the turns, see like how they kind of travel there and like back. Yeah, I think that's very doable. Like,
yeah, that's a cool
sounds
thing.
Good to me.
We've got 15 minutes left, so I'm going to go through the rest. We've got lots of questions left to go through, so I'm going to do rapid fire questions now. Quick answers, please, everybody. For ZEPHON, any news about a GoG release? Good old games.
I think no news. The plan is to focus on Steam. We'll see about the rest.
Because we can auto-deploy to Steam, which is like a huge advantage for us.
Well, Dan said short answers, but Steam is actually a lot nicer to work with. And also, since we're going to self-publish most likely, it's a resource question. And Steam also, the more you sell on Steam, the more visibility you get. And selling on other platforms, then you're kind of hurting yourself in a way. So probably gonna be Steam only release.
Cool. Good answer. Okay, next question. Will ZEPHON have narrated? Will ZEPHON have narrated? I can't say the word. Will ZEPHON have Will ZEPHON have narrated quest lines or cinematic stills relating to quests? He's thinking something similar to Homeworld. Yes. That's a quick answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will have quest lines and we will have cinematic stills associated with those quest lines.
Yeah, there won't be full out videos, but it'll have audio and illustrations and custom story and text. Yeah.
Next question from Paranautic is asking for Gladius. We've already answered his question about roads, but he's asking, are there plans for trenches and I presume other defenses? He would love to be able to move troops quicker on the roads, and for trenches, it's a staple for the Imperial Guard. And he is a Tau player, so they like hiding behind their shield walls as well, don't they?
Yes, there will be a bunker unit, like where you can bunker up.
Very nice. Very
Majin raised his hand, so I'd like to invite him to speak.
Cool.
So you can ask another question in the meantime as he gets ready.
Okay, that'll be fast. For Parallel Universes also asks, will there be any faction cosmetic customization? I think we've already had that question, haven't we? He wants Trazen leading Necrons.
Hello. How are you doing?
Hello.
What is your question, sir? And how are you?
Hello, Majin. Oh, he's muted, so we could... Oh, he's gone.
It felt like he was lagging.
Right. Okay, next question is Black Cops Tripper again. ZEPHON factions. Will ZEPHON be like Gladius, where you pick a faction in the lobby and they play differently from all the other choices, or will it be more like Civ, where you select a faction but they have a couple of differences and share a lot in common with everyone else? Or will it be everyone starts the same and over time your choices change your abilities and bonus? Hello, Majin, we can hear you. But it all happens as a match unfolds, so no two runs are the same. So it's the last option really. Over time, you start the same, and over time you're with a different leader, and over time your choices change your abilities.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. A mixture in between Civilization and Gladius, since it's not full-out factions, full-out races, but more distinct than Civ.
Yeah, with their own traits and abilities, which you can upgrade and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's more like something like FTL, where you kind of you choose your starting setup, and then it shifts as the game goes along, and you bring things in and swap out weapons and swap out crew. So it's a kind of you start with a twist, and then it's modular from that point on.
Yep.
For a new question from a monolithic doofus who is a Necron. For Gladius, will new weapon options ever be a possibility for units that have access to them, like on tabletop?
The ultimate question.
Yeah, like that one. The problem is like with the workshop, because we also discussed, we mentioned earlier, like with Gladius, like what we do, like long run or like what content comes there. Like one of the issues is like all the models back then weren't designed like that way, and they were even done like in a different like modeling program. Like we've now swapped to Blender, so they're partly in this old format, and the textures, like a lot of the textures don't take it like into account and whatnot, and are like not modular. So it would be difficult, like to make it consistent or like do it over a wide variety of units. So yeah.
For Gladius
okay.
today.
For Gladius, question from Martius R. Are there any chances this year for adding a feature with the customization of events or making our own scenarios? So I'm assuming he means something about like how you start like a particular setup to the game, like custom gameplay setups.
Like a fancy map editor. Yeah, no plans for that for now.
Okay. HighLad11 says he has questions about the AI progress. I can't really understand that first question. The second question I think is, considering that different teams are developing, can any functions from ZEPHON go to Gladius and vice versa? I think it's the same team making both these games. Just to clarify, it's just us.
We're that crazy. Some might, but as I pointed out earlier, at one point we enhanced the engine so much that it gets hard to port it back. So it really depends on the exact feature. Bug fixes for sure if they're major. I'm not sure if there would be anything bigger that would come over.
Okay, so it's more like stuff will go from ZEPHON to Gladius 2 or whatever we do next, rather than going back to Gladius.
That's right, yeah. Like if there would be a new, like you want to take over the engine and improvements you made so far. But backporting is like, it's really hard, or a lot of effort, like because how things integrate and like the changes and like a lot you have to pay attention to and can go wrong and whatnot. So
it gets increasingly harder the further we get with ZEPHON.
Next question. Several questions from Django, who is using a delicious Naruto avatar there and who's an Adeptus Mechanicus player. First question, these may have to be quick answers. Is there any chance Gladius can have a hero DLC or unit DLC that also expands a bit on the wildlife gene stealer cult?
A bit on wildlife gene stealer cult. I think
he just likes the gene stealer cult. Who doesn't? They're lovely.
I mean, why? Let's just do a whole gene stealer cult faction, right? Why stop at just a wildlife?
Yeah, their new models are gorgeous, so it'd be lovely to get some of that stuff in there.
Yeah. Hero DLC potentially, yes. Yeah.
Cool. Is there any chance for Custodes or Grey Knights? Yes, there probably is a chance for Custodes and Grey Knights. Depends how long we get to keep making the game for, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's big factions first, right? So I think pretty much everyone figured it out. It's Sisters of Battle, it's Dark Eldar or Drukhari. I'm using probably all the old names and Maybe people won't like me or will like me.
Evil space elves, yeah.
What else? I mean, I think Chaos Demons is something people don't mention that much, but it's one that I would be quite excited about making because there's so many we haven't done in Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, and I think the same thing. Custodes are a new one that's after, because we originally based this on 7th edition, I think. But
Yeah.
Custodes are a relatively new faction, but they are very popular. They've got some beautiful models again, and they're quite asymmetric. So it might be interesting to put some of those guys in.
Yeah, I actually looked at their lineup a bit recently. I think the one way we also determine it, if anyone wants to know, is we open up the codex and we look at how many units the faction has, and if they have enough, then like the chance of them being made is much higher. Because at least if we want to do full featured factions, and for now we want to do that until we're done with full featured factions, we need enough units.
Yep. Is there any chance we get faction leaders like Belisarius Call for the Adeptus Mechanicus or Reboot Guliman for the Ultra Smurfs added?
Yeah, named leaders would be really interesting. It ties back to the war leader kind of. Well, it's not entirely your leader being represented on the map, but yeah, named leaders. We did unique heroes already with the avatar, so also definitely possible, yeah. I think it entirely depends how we see the game in like 2 years or something, and how the talks with Slytherin move forward.
Is there any chance of having the Lord of Skulls and the Chaos Space Marine rosters at tier 11?
No.
He's very overpowered. He's ridiculously overpowered. I mean, it'd have to be a very toned down version of him.
I think that's a prime example of a good mod or something for a mod.
Yeah.
Where you can break the rules a little more.
And Django also makes a very good point. You guys should have the game to Game Pass. It would be great if we got it for free on Game Pass for a bit. It would help expanding. Yeah, it would be a good idea, that. Not a choice, really, but it would be a good idea. The German 88 asks, can you incorporate quests into multiplayer?
For Gladius, or I guess we can answer for both. I'm not sure what he means, because they already work in multiplayer.
Yeah, I guess
They should at least.
Yeah. I think it's for Gladius, and I think it's more just that they don't work. You can't do them together. They do work, and they can end the game, can't they? If someone wins via.
Yeah, I guess if you're both Astra Militarum, you aren't both doing it together. You each get your own quest line. That's true. There's no plans on changing that. But I think in ZEPHON, we're gonna have the end quest kind of affect everyone. I don't want to spoil any more than that, but I think it could turn out in ZEPHON that's really cool.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting way of handling it. Walngus was a bit confused about what server he was on. So he's asking, will there be another trailer for ZEPHON?
Yeah, we're working on the intro for the game, and we're getting it together. It's quite challenging getting the right voice acting and the right audio for it. We're working on that, and hopefully in the next months, we're going to be able to reveal that through an event like, I don't know, maybe through IGN or someone similar.
A question from Majin, who tried logging on earlier to talk to us. Is ZEPHON going to be able to support more than 16 players at once? Will it have an option for big maps? Will the maps themselves be even bigger? Will it be ranging from tiny to huge?
Well, they will definitely be a bit bigger than in Gladius, because we also space-wise, if you have these neutral factions and whatnot, and still neutrals, etc., you kind of need room. So we have to up the map size there to some extent, and also probably the landmass. So because someone was asking already earlier, like I saw the question as well about water and like sea warfare and whatnot. And that is one of the things, like if you're just on islands and can only travel over water, like if there's enough room for like quests to spawn, etc., it will be all it's difficult. I mean, on the other hand, like we did implement some nice water refractions, so it would be a waste if only hovering units on water would be reflected. So yeah.
Yeah, there is also a problem with the Warhammer 40k universe is that they don't really talk about naval stuff very much. As you said, there's a question later about it, but ZEPHON's more plausible because we make our own stuff up. But for 40k, like it's not like you have the Battlefleet Gothic and stuff where they've got the giant ships and spaceships. They haven't really talked about what the Space Marines use, what does the Astra Militarum use when they've got to go across a body of water. They just don't. Like, They mention these boats in passing, but there's like large bits of the world haven't been filled in. We'd have to fill up stuff in with the permission of Games Workshop. So it's it would be a lot of design, a lot of back and forth.
But it's also almost something you want to fully focus on with a game. And I could imagine when they were designing the tabletop, like it's a tabletop where we fight each other on like a table, and like having water on the thing. I mean, you could, but then it's like you fully split your army in a way. Either you have naval combat or you have ground combat, and then like you're making
a huge problem.
Yeah, and it's the same in a video game. Like if we start doing a lot of naval stuff, then you expect like maybe naval cities or at least like a lot of naval features, so the water isn't boring, and naval or like water monsters, and it's just
Total War has struggled with it so much over the years, where they've had kind of naval battles that have been separate, or naval battles on the same map, naval battles where you can land your ships, you can kick soldiers off ships onto the ground, where soldiers can fight between ships, and like they've basically, as far as I can tell, tried not to do it so much. They have it in Total War Warhammer, but the two things don't integrate very well. Because like a battleship has like a line of guns across it like a spaceship, and it's a much bigger scale of thing, and the battles are of different scales and different ranges, so it's a very, very different sort of game.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. So it's easy. It's better to just skip it entirely, or make a game that's only that.
Yeah, or decide what the game feel you want is and how those bits are going to fit together, and then build a game you want with the right with theming on top of it, rather than trying to replicate bits of the world that don't really fit together. Yeah. We are over time. Shall we ask more questions, or shall we stop here?
Let me.
Maybe one more.
I see Descry asked if there's any chance for a fun, casual devs versus community PvP game. And I'm way too scared of you, Descry, to battle you in Gladius. But I'm happy battling you in ZEPHON once we have an alpha. So that I have a chance to win. Otherwise you hurt my ego too much.
If he sets us up. If he sets up one dev, like we can't beat, we'll lose. We'll lose horribly. So if it was playing together, like if you play with Descry and we find somebody else to play with one of his mates. Yeah. Co-op versus AI, to play against the impossible AI.
All right, I think we can wrap it up here. Thanks to everyone who was brave enough to raise his hand and talk to us, and also everyone that participated in chat. Thanks so much, Dan, for going through the questions, and Sohail and Lawrence for coming here. So thanks, everyone. Have a nice day, and come again next time.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Cheerio. Bye.